So, hello everybody. Welcome to the December meeting. As you may have noticed, it's a little bit different because I've invited both master educators and student ambassadors to join. So, there is representation from both sides, and that really makes me happy. Thank you. And thanks for staying up so late. Vivek, I'm not sure what time it is for you. Is it legal for you to be up at this hour? All right. I'll try to take mercy out on you and not have you stay too long. So, I'll just jump right in. Thanks for your activity reports. And if you could get yours to me if you have not yet done it, it's just great for me to know roughly where everybody's at. And I'll tell you guys in a bit where the majority of people are in the Technovation season and what's going on, just so you have a sort of basis of comparison and you can feel good about it all. And with every meeting I do, I always throw in an Easter egg. And this one happens to be the first computer that I remember using. And even though it came out in 1977, yes,
Uh-huh.
I don't, I don't think I used it until maybe the early 80s. So maybe a later version, luckily. And I just thought it was nice to show because I've used this as an icebreaker before with, people I'm working who are vastly different ages, so that we all talk about what our first experiences were like when we used computers, and so that we kind of put ourselves in the shoes of a new learner and thinking about how things might be different for them. So I kind of contrasted this so the name of the computer would not be seen. But does anyone have any guesses what this might be?
Not at all.
Oh man, Vivek, you always know everything. All right, it's a Commodore PET. Um,
Oh,
yes, and I have a true false question at the end of our meeting that you can mull over, which I typically do too. Aren't the graphics great on this? It used BASIC, so that's another exciting thing. BASIC, for maybe Jasleen, who might not know, was a language that Microsoft helped develop. And yeah, so when you used computers like this, you had to know a bit of programming because, it wasn't all drag and drop icon stuff. You had to kind of program things to happen. And my first memory, before we move on, is of me lining up with other kids in my class to go to the computer lab. And we would pair up or even work forward to a computer and do math problems and stuff like that. So, yeah, we didn't all have our own laptops. I can't imagine a world now. Well, there are schools actually that don't have a one-to-one kind of ratio. So, anyway, anyone want to share their first memory of a computer? You can think about it. You can use chat or talk. Who's all here? Oh, it's Jean. Hi, Jean. I can't escape you today. Ah. And Jasleen is here, and Vivek. Jasleen is in the UK near London. Vivek is in India near Bangalore, correct? And who else? Lori. Oh, hi, Lori from Minnesota. And Jill. Jill, you're in Canada, right?
that's correct. Yeah.
Where about?
Near Niagara Falls.
Oh, cool. Is it
Yeah.
chilly?
It's like 22, uh, negative 22 here today.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you're cozy, right?
That's Celsius, though. That's Celsius, but it's
Oof. Okay. Well, and just think about your first laptop or computer experience, and we can come back to that at the end. Oh man, Lori, it sounds cold there too. Brr. Well, for what it's worth, it's raining here in California, but it's warm. All right, so we're in December, and right about now is when you should be thinking about your launch event if you haven't done it, or thinking about how it went and how you're going to launch your season after that and keep everyone motivated. And if you're less familiar with App Inventor, or the programming language you think your team would use, that now would be the time to start thinking about that. In January, that's when the official season kicks off, and a lot of people tend to rally around that time. But we hope that you guys can start maybe a little earlier, because the feedback we got last year was that people felt a bit rushed. They wanted more time. So we built a 20-week and a 12-week curriculum. Probably a little late for the 20-week with a April 24th deadline this year, but maybe not. Anyway, how much? What is 20 weeks from now? That's a long time. Yeah, I think it's past April. So, anyways, we'll talk about where you guys all are in relation to each other very soon. My idea and my hope is that you guys really exploit Slack and that you can maybe help jump in and answer questions when people need immediate responses and our team is, slammed and we're all trying to get stuff done. So the idea with Slack is to help the mentors help each other out too. Usually a member of the team will answer something pretty quick, but it's great when people can pitch in or share ideas that we don't have, etc. So today I have some updates. We'll talk about some trends I've been seeing and some questions. I'll highlight some best practices. We'll take a poll so that you guys have a barometer of what's going on and where you should be and where you think you should be. And then we'll talk about next steps, because there's going to be a few little changes with bringing together the master educators and student ambassadors. And also, I want to put more power in your hands to direct, what is going on with the master educator program. Do you guys want to be, training the trainers? What is your vision for this? Because your input's really important. So we'll talk about that. So first things first, the team completed all the units, right? So I think just a few straggling little ones at the end, like the pitch ones, are, getting a final eyeballs over them. And they should be up really soon, all of them. Has everyone been able to access the curriculum? I hope so. All right. And the new special thing that we listen to and we're trying to accommodate is that you guys want to upload translations, or you want, if you're going to put in the effort of translating the curriculum, to share it widely. So we have gotten a widget for WordPress. It's called WPML, and it's going to allow people we trust back-end access to the website so they can upload their translated content, which is pretty cool. We just had our first beta tester, a guy named Omar from Mexico, and things seem to go well. So I have a document which you can see is linked to below, and let me cut and paste the presentation and share it with you, just so you have that. Oops. So it should be in the chat. If you take a look below, you can see that I have cut and pasted all of the content, all the raw content, in this translation doc in the middle. And you can also use that if you want to just cut and paste information, if you want to make slides for yourself, if you know your team is going to do certain activities. It's meant for you for ease of use, and you can also download PDFs from each unit on the website. So if you look at the top right page of the curriculum, once you're logged in, you'll see that you can download to PDF. Hooray. So that was a big undertaking. I expect a few glitches, once people get in there to upload their translated content. We have Arabic, we've got French, German, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. We got Spanish, we got Mexican Spanish. What else do we have? We have, someone from Uzbekistan. We have someone from the Republic of Georgia who's translating. We have Romanian, so it's pretty great. All right. Any questions about translation? No? You guys are awfully quiet. Well, Vivek has an excuse because it's some ungodly hour where he is. Okay. So the other news is that we're doing two Bay Area, so San Francisco Bay Area launch workshops. The first one will be at General Assembly, which is kind of a chain of learning centers for professionals in San Francisco. And if you look in the comments section of the slide, there's an invitation to that. So I encourage you to come if you're local. And there's also going to be one now on the 14th of January at Presentation High School in San Jose. Thank you, Jean, for hooking us up. That was great. So quiet. People in the morning session were much more chatty. You were a handful. You guys are more solemn and thoughtful, maybe. All right. So, moving on. The things I noticed in the reports that I was able to read so far was that master educators are indeed connecting with student ambassadors, where there's one of each in each region. But they're having a hard time kind of coordinating logistics in order for the student ambassadors, say, to get out to certain communities. So aligning schedules has been a challenge, and I recommend that you guys check out the resource that Jean shared last week, month, for organizing information and people. And I can add that to the notes to this meeting in case you guys are similarly having any logistical, nightmares. Hopefully not. So that was one thing I noticed. Another thing is some people are still trying to align partners and companies who initially were interested in donating services in kind or devices or space. And, they feel that that relationship has gone a little cold. So we have a whole fundraising toolkit that I can also share. And I recommend, taking another listen or look at that because Carla, who's on our team, Carla Reedshaw, she gave some suggestions on how to keep a relationship warm and some suggestions on things to ask for at first. So you're not just saying, "Oh, can you guys donate tons of money so that we can throw a great event?" That can kind of scare people off. But if you start small and say, "Hey, could you guys donate some space for a workshop?" Or could we possibly use some laptops, that your volunteers might have at certain times? Like starting small is definitely a good idea. And then some people still are having a few snafus with laptop, not being able to use any laptops, using their volunteers' laptops. Some were pairing students up because they had limited access to laptops. And then there was also lack of internet access. So I know in Moldova, someone said that they were using offline versions of Minecraft for whatever they were doing that day, probably getting them excited, and by using mobile phones. So there's always a workaround if you're diligent and if you feel comfortable asking people to borrow things. So let me know if these issues resonate with you, or if they do, also I recommend using Slack because a lot of people have similar issues. And yeah, you can also use, if you're a master educator, up to $1,000 to get some things you really need. So say you need an Android to test in real time, the app, you can get that. And I found like $40 Androids. So if you need some tips on where to find inexpensive things, I'm definitely someone you can ask. Some people have also used the stipend to help fund translation. So that's another thing you can use it for. And then there is a question about the difficulty with the sign up process on the Technovation platform. It turned out that teams from last year wanted to form similar teams again this year and call themselves the same name. And I discovered that they couldn't do that. So my suggestion for the meantime, I'm going to tell our platform person about this, but my suggestion in the meantime was for all the individuals, mentors, and students to register. and to form a team. And maybe you could do a riff on the name of your team from last year. So you could call yourselves like Team Awesome 2017 or something like that. Do any of these issues resonate, or have you guys been having separate and different issues? Feel free to chime in or use the chat. Oh, maybe someone's sleeping.
No, I just think that Android devices is a problem. As I've been in, we're actually using Thunkable here,
Oh, cool.
and which is very much the same, obviously, as App Inventor.
Yeah.
But I've been in contact with them. They have said that their iOS version will be ready in early 2017,
Ooh.
but probably not early enough for the beginning of the season. But maybe by people, if students are wanting to publish on both platforms, that it might be ready by before April.
Oh, that would be awesome. Hopefully they can pull that off. We're actually going to be meeting with Thunkable in early January as a team.
Oh,
They're based out of San Francisco, and we're super excited because I think they have, their design element is a little bit nicer than App Inventor. It looks a little
yes.
polished. And that's one thing I know definitely frustrates teams is that their app doesn't look as good as they want it to with App Inventor. And I think a lot of the people on the Thunkable team were associated with App Inventor, so they knew what these issues were and rectified them. Yay, Thunkable! Yeah, I'm excited. Vivek, you mentioned that you have some different issues. Do you want to talk about any of them? We're trying to reach out to government schools, but the red tape has been taking too long. Oof. I'm wondering if anyone else here is having a similar issue of bureaucracy and red tape. Definitely let us know if you can go into more detail, either here or offline. We'll see what we can do because Tara, our founder, is from India. She's currently in India. She has a lot of connections to schools because her grandmother started one. So she might have some direct ideas about how you can, get around that red tape. I don't know if her grandma's school was a government school though, but we could definitely ask her. So yeah, if you could let me know offline, Vivek, what that exact issue is, I'll definitely see what I can do. It must be really frustrating, I bet. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. It's always good to hear what's going on. So feel free to use the chat to let me know or email me, whatever, use Slack, whatever you can. So I just wanted to remind you about the launch toolkit that we created. I'm going to send it to Eugene after this. And there's also a sheet for launch dates, a link to a Google Doc for that. So if you have or you want to create an event and have us talk about it to people and help promote it, we can do that. Yay. Just to briefly touch on that, in the launch workshop, there's just, a suggested agenda, basic suggestions and guidelines. And the ones we're doing in the Bay Area are going to be 4 hours long, so they're not going to be a whole day really. And we're encouraging brown bag lunches just to make logistics easier. And we will provide snacks though, so no one falls asleep or gets all cranky. All right, so just to give you, a perspective on things that are going on around the world and some best practices. This morning I had Ronald on the line, and if you want to hear what he had to say about his launch workshop, you can hear it from his own mouth. I can paraphrase it for you here. They had a really successful event with close to 100 students in Uganda at Gayaza High School. And Sheila Gaba happens to be a regional ambassador. Ronald Dungu is a master educator. And it looks like they actually used some of the stuff in the Technovation launch toolkit. So that makes me happy. You can see in the picture on the left, maybe I can zoom in here, that he created a gigantic piece of paper that looks like, a mobile phone interface. And he had students brainstorming. You can see on the right. For some reason, I couldn't upload one of his pictures. Whoops. But in the kind of comment section, oops, you can see a link to his folder full of pictures. And he had his whole teams talking about some pretty serious problems in Uganda. And it's just kind of neat to look at the pictures to know what's really important to them. And you can tell that they were following the Sustainable Development Goal kind of guidelines, which are the 6 themes of Technovation this year. And I think it's a good time for me to just touch base and remind you about we call them SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, because that is one major difference between the curriculum this year and previous curriculum. So when teams decide what problem they want to solve, it should really fit into one of these 6 categories, which are poverty, eradicating poverty, equality for women, health, education, environment, and peace. So if you go to the ideation unit in the curriculum, it will describe all of these. And just know and alert your students to the fact that they will be getting points for how well they hit these topics. And teams that make it to the finals, we're going to have 2 teams for each theme. So a junior division and a senior division. So, just keep that in mind because it's pretty important. If you want your team to be able to make it to the finals, they definitely need to fit one of these themes. And UN Women is helping to sponsor this. Google Made with Code is helping. You'll see a primer unit that we did with Made with Code. So all these partnerships are pretty cool, and they're helping to influence the problem identification, which I think is good. Because a lot of people asked last year, well, how do I tell if this is a real problem? Like, how do we compare it to what other people are doing? Now we're kind of constraining, I think, in a pretty good way, the kinds of problems that the girls will be solving. And they're pretty broad. So if you're totally worried about it not fitting into a theme, there's still time to kind of steer the course of the problem they want to solve by saying, well, could it apply to equality? Could this problem apply to education or health? They're pretty broad categories if you look at them. So that's one new and exciting thing. And I could tell from Ronald's pictures that they were focusing on these, which I thought was great and why I'm also highlighting it as a best practice. Any questions about Ronald? Ronald wasn't able to come to our training in July, but he's pretty awesome. So if you have a chance to ping him on Slack or anything like that, he's pretty great. Still so quiet, people? All right, I'll move forward. Another best practice I saw and liked was related to the problem that there was just a lot of hardship in organizing logistics for student ambassadors to get out there to other communities. So what Sarah Hoy and Karina Sklifos did, they are the master educator and student ambassador in Moldova. They created a special language version of the video. Like they create a video in the local language, so Romanian, and that's how they did it. And then, they also tied it to an invitation to join them for a Google Hangout, stuff like that. So it was pretty powerful, and they said it helped. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't really know Romanian, but you can probably tell, what the content is by watching the video. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm seeing a lot of initiative. I really like it. And I really want to share these resources so that more people can get access to them. Okay, now is the time when you interact with me and each other a little, at least, in the chat. So, out of everyone here, Jean, Jasleen, Jill, Lori, and Vivek. How many of you have had a lunch workshop take place in your region? You can just use the chat or you can talk. December 7th. Yes, cool. Jean's is going to happen on the 14th and maybe the 7th. Vivek, actually, yeah, we heard from Dell this morning about how successful your event was with Adobe. So that was great. Thanks for staying up. I feel like I wish I could take you out to dinner because you're like staying up so late. Uh, oh wow. So Minnesota did one in December and there'll be another in January. That's great. And Jeslene says not yet in the UK, but we're planning to do it when we come back from Christmas. Excellent. Jeslene, I'm going to be in Wales next week. I wish I could stop by and hang out. Fortunately, I usually
Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah, I usually just hop on a bus or train though to Cardiff. That's where my husband's from. I can't wait.
Oh,
Yay! I love Christmas in the UK. It's so nice.
but it never snows.
I hope it snows. I need to get some waterproof boots. Yes. All right. And how many teams are you guys working with personally? Because we got a question, and I'm trying to figure it out. What is a target range of teams to work with? Obviously, it's nice to have a one-on-one relationship with a team if you're a mentor or a master educator or student ambassador. But someone asked if 10 teams was too much, and my gut reaction was, yeah, it's hard to be effective as a mentor with so many teams. But yeah, just thought I'd get an idea. Also, if you're working with a lot of teams, you can pull in other mentors. You can use the platform to do that. So, yeah. Wow, love, nice. Okay, good to know. And how is Slack working for you guys? Are you guys finding it useful or? Hmm, wow. So, Jeslene, you guys have connected with 50 primary schools and secondary schools?
Yeah, because we're part of Digital Schoolhouse,
Yeah.
where we educate girls, and well, our school is part of Digital Schoolhouse, so young students come in to learn about technology, and we've started to get some girls involved as well.
Wow,
And
I
then
had no idea.
we've outreached to secondary schools in that area as well, and we're hopefully getting them to come into our school because our head teacher has agreed to allow the program to take part in our school.
Wow, I had no idea. That is incredible. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I,
And we've also, like Miss Pandia has also incorporated Technovation into the curriculum at our school. So year 7, 8, and 9 are all doing it, and we have 3 teams already from last year who have pitched their app, and we're just getting them forward now.
oh my gosh, you guys are totally rocking out. Definitely try and take some pictures if you can, even if it's just like backs of heads. I don't know how strict it is in the UK about taking pictures of minors and underage. But if you can like get some pictures of what's going on there, it would be really cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Really.
And do you have enough resources?
Yeah, because we've got a new computing department, and we have 5 classrooms, each with 30 computers in. So we
Wow.
have quite.
Oh my gosh. I want to go visit your digital schoolhouse.
You should.
Maybe I can squeeze something in. But the only problem is I'm there during the holidays, which isn't so useful.
Oh,
Wow. Well, kudos to you guys. And now, since we're all together and you're talking about what's going on, does anyone have questions for Jeslene as a student ambassador? Or does Jeslene maybe have questions for any of the master educators? Feel free to use this time to kind of brainstorm questions or think about how you guys can gather information from each other. We're hoping to provide the space for you guys to do that. So if you don't want to do it now, I definitely encourage it in Slack since you kind of know each other at this point and you know a little bit about what each other's groups are doing. All right. Minnesota has approximately 35 teams signed up as of now, over 100 students and 35 educators registered. Wow, lots of last minute registrations. Sign up is hard as they don't have an email address to use. Uh, we talked about that this morning. That's definitely an issue that I'm aware of that a lot of people have. Middle school students, for sure. You're not supposed to have a Gmail account if you're under 13. And one person from Spain, Lorena, the master educator, said that she had a form that she had parents fill out, and she had a whole process going with getting younger students emails. So I have to look into that and see what she's doing. But if it seems like a good suggestion, I'm definitely going to share it with everybody because I know it's a serious issue. Yeah. And Google schools run and block certain external emails. There's firewalls, stuff like that. Yeah. So that is something we know is a problem. And I'm definitely going to look at Lorena's workaround and see, what kind of solutions we can arrive at. Cool.
Amy, I have a question for you about knowing who in our area is registered. Like, I know who's registered from the teams I have direct involvement with, but there may be other teams in our area from other school boards that
Mhm.
are registered that I'd like to reach out to. So, how can I find out that information, or is there no way of finding that out?
Yeah, there's definitely a way of finding out. There's two things you can do right now. You can either connect with your regional ambassador. Is yours the closest in Toronto?
Toronto, yeah, yeah.
I forgot her name, but I can find out if you just,
Paula?
yeah. If you want to email me and CC Paula and just say, like, can you please, find out who has registered in my region? Because all of our
Okay,
regional ambassadors have access to the back end.
okay,
And she could probably print you out a report and share that.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely. And if for some reason Paula is not able to respond immediately, I can try. So
Okay,
yeah, good
thank you.
question. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Oh, Jesline says we have a few issues about how we go about getting a mentor. Last year we had a few mentors, but they weren't as effective. Also, who's our UK regional ambassador? I have to find out. I think it's someone with Verizon. We've been working with people in Verizon. I forget their names, but Jesline, I can find that out for you. So if you can just email me that to remind me, I will definitely set about. And to answer your question about getting mentors, you can. I mean, our hope is that you can find someone locally. If that's not possible, then you can always reach out to a mentor through the platform. And even though it's not great, you can work with them virtually. So there may be other people in the UK in your same time zone who aren't necessarily near you, but they can virtually connect with you and your team or teams. So yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Um, Maybe I can get my brother-in-law to mentor you. He lives in Reading though.
Oh, that's not too far.
Yeah, he works for British Airways and he's a programmer.
Oh, oh wow.
He's not as friendly as my husband though. But maybe he has people who can sign up as virtual mentors. So when I go there on Sunday, I'll ask around.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions before we kind of wrap it up and move on then? Hi, Corinna. Nice to have you here. Yay. Okay, so just for master educators, Miss Lee, if I have not yet received your invoice and your paperwork, I would love that by tomorrow so that I can ensure that you get your stipend for the new year. Next week and the week after are kind of insane ones with everybody on vacation and all that. So definitely get that to me. I think everyone here is good though. But if not, just ping me or I'll find you and get you. I'll get you paid. And for you, Desleen, the student ambassadors are able to get some reimbursement in case you spend money on things like flyers or, just things to help you with your teams. I hope you don't have to spend any of your own money and get reimbursed. I would definitely ask Ms. Pandya if she could handle that because we have a lot more funds allocated for reimbursement for master educators.
Right.
No. All right. Now to the moment you've all been waiting for. True or false? Was the Commodore PET 2001 the first personal computer made available to retail consumers in 1977? Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat or by voice. And I also included a few pictures. One is of how much it cost at the time, which is about $600. In 1977, $600 would probably be the equivalent of at least $2,000 now, probably more. So that was a chunk of change at the time for something that didn't have a whole lot of power. Ah, yes, Lori, at the Computer History Museum, some of the curators would have a battle to the end about whether the Tandy 100 was the first commercial home computer. And then also Commodore 64 and Apple. They also came out around 1977 too. So Commodore thinks and says it was the first, but we don't say it's the first of the computer history. We say they all came out around the same time and they were vying for primacy. If you look in the right, the picture at the right, in the very bottom right hand corner, you can see a prototype for the Commodore, which had a wooden shell, which I love. That was something I loved about the Apple. Like the first Apple had a really kind of silly looking wooden exterior. And the first mouse prototype also was wood. So pretty neat. I used to work at the Computer History Museum, so I'm kind of cheating here. So yes. Does anyone want to comment on the first laptop they remember using or computer? Oh, Lori, did you get to go to the Computer History Museum? I wonder. I know that a few of you guys managed to go there on a side trip. Yes, cool. Yeah, I helped before I was a computer there, I helped with the multimedia. So all the videos in that exhibit, I helped co-produce them. So it was fun. We interviewed all these great people like Steve Wozniak. Lori says I had a Tandy 100 plugged into a TV. Lori, you were like the original geek. I love it. Nice. Yeah, I had an Atari 2600 one Christmas, and my brother and I basically stayed in the cellar for a week playing Atari games. That was the time of my life. It was the only thing we never fought over because we could play together but play against each other. Oh, nice. Oh, you came. Oh, good, Jasleen. I'm glad that you went to CHM. The Computer History Museum is a really special place. Sweet. Okay. Well, the next meeting is next month for the first month of 2017 on the 19th. And there's just a few meetings after that. And as I mentioned before, I would know if you guys had ideas about where you would like to see the Master Educator program going, where you'd like to see the Student Ambassador program going. I feel like the first half of these programs for this pilot year are very heavy on the Technovation side. leading and directing you guys, making you write niggling reports, which I love because it's really great to see what's going on. But I would love to hear and see what you guys would like these programs to become. An initial idea is to have you guys become train the trainer sort of people. So I will be writing a report very soon to the powers that be about how I think these programs are going and some suggestions. So I would really love your input and welcome that.
This is not open. No, it's not open.
No one's in trouble.
I'm here. I'm supervising a 30-hour famine here at school.
Wow. Dang.
So I just had to kick some kids out of this room.
You can walk it out.
Wow.
Yes. So,
I feel like it's a reality TV show. All right.
sorry for the confusion.
Come here.
Oh no, Gene is dying of. He's hungry. I hope he's not too angry with us. All right, Gene, I'll let you go. One thing I want to do is to invite you to share any resources that you're creating as auxiliaries to the Technovation curriculum so that we can really share out stuff, like good stuff for people who are working hard too. So for all the other mentors out there, you guys are like the cream of the crop. I would love to see you guys sharing cool activities, things like that. And I will send a summary of these notes and a prompt for what I'd like next for the next meeting. Also, one last thing to note, I'm canceling the GoTo training account because it's a little pricey, and we're going to move to a platform called Zoom. And Zoom is probably a little easier to use and probably a little cooler. So, if you don't mind. Thank you. Good to get a sterling recommendation. So I'm going to end with my typical thank you, rock you roll. And please do email me with any questions. And I guess all I have to say right now is have a great holiday. Anything else? One quick question. As a student ambassador for this program, do we only participate in this season or can we also do the next seasons? Our vision for both programs was to be a 2-year program. So my hope and my dream is that this program, well, both of them will continue into the 2018 season. But okay. I think it might be contingent on funding and interest and results. So, but we'll keep you updated no matter what. Thanks, Jody. Thanks for coming. I miss you guys. I only met you once in person, or maybe some of you a little bit more, but I feel like I've gotten to know you really well. I'm really proud of all you're doing. I'm excited. Seeing pictures of the excitement on your team's faces is really great. So I know it's hard work and you probably don't get thanked enough. So I'm going to thank you again. All right. I will be in touch by email after this. And goodbye. Gonna go back home to my Commodore pet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.